All right, guys, our guest tonight is 11-time world champion and the creator of Global Force Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett. How you doing tonight?
Guys, I appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to talking some Global Force Wrestling, some New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom 9, and talking about y'all's roundtable. This table is very nice. Is this oak, or what kind of wood is this?
It's oak. It's, of course, one of the hardest woods because it has to be with all the guests we bring out here. You know what I mean? It's got to support the weight of these stars.
I hear you.
All right, you know what? Let's talk about Global Force Wrestling. You guys are going to host the North American presentation of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 9, live on pay-per-view January 4th. How would you describe the event to casual wrestling fans who have never seen New Japan Wrestling before or even Wrestle Kingdom at all?
Good question. How would I describe it? I think I would have to say that this is a can't-miss event. And that's really taken on a lot of ground. It's hard to say this day and age with so many events and so many pay-per-views, but with all the sort of stars aligning, it's in the Dome show. It's in the Tokyo Dome, over 50,000 fans. Jim Ross is going to be calling it. New Japan, the promotion is red hot. The Bullet Club is the hottest faction in all. It's really shaped up, and with the addition of the Flips app, it has become the most widely distributed live pay-per-view wrestling event in the history of our business, and that really says something.
Mike Jarrett?
Well, Global Force Wrestling already has global partnerships with a lot of top-level promotions, like you said, New Japan, also AAA, among others. Once GFW has its own product and its own roster, how do you plan on using that to your advantage? Could we see things like talent exchanges and super shows?
Absolutely. That's all part of the I'll call it the Global Force Wrestling rollout, is to establish get the brand awareness over the years, in not just wrestling, but any type of brand or product. If you rush it to market before it's ready, it's a sure sign of failure. So we're taking our time, we're methodically rolling it out, we're establishing our brand, as well as the philosophy of us partnering with New Japan or AAA or these promotions, and to set up, just what you said, talent exchanges. I think it's very healthy for promotions to work together as opposed against one another.
BG?
Jeff, your family has been in the industry for decades, and you've seen every side of the business. When it comes to the creative and storyline building of a company, what do you think resonates most with fans and what they're looking for, and how will you look to relay that to your audience in Global Force Wrestling?
Well, with this day and age, New Japan, this show is a perfect example. It's, and Jim Ross and several of our promotional videos, he's made the statement, don't overthink things. This business is built on championships, hard-hitting action, larger-than-life personalities, and I like Jim's words, not overthinking it. And so with the videos that we've rolled out, and I like to call it docu-style, where the wrestling fan is so knowledgeable now, and it's such a small world. And I was telling you guys, before we started rolling this interview, that just today I've spoken to the Australian fan base as well as Dublin, Ireland, and I've done podcasts and interviews promoting Wrestle Kingdom 9 in Brazil, Portugal, several in the United Kingdom, Germany, South Africa. So the wrestling fan is much more connected, much more knowledgeable than in the past. And so they want to see, in my opinion, just what Jim said, hard-hitting action, very, very, I guess the very best of professional wrestling, which Wrestle Kingdom 9 will feature, and larger-than-life personalities, and that's what we're going to present.
Well, you mentioned Jim Ross. When we spoke to Jim Ross in October, he talked about his interest in announcing for wrestling promotion again. It was announced just a few weeks later that he would do play-by-play for Global Force Wrestling's presentation of Wrestle Kingdom 9. What does adding Ross do to the announced team? What does it do for the credibility of the announced team and the mainstream marketability of Wrestle Kingdom?
Well, I'll sort of take you through the process that we went about, rolling this out. When New Japan and Global Force Wrestling, I call it, solidified their relationship, and we made it public at the G1 Climax Finals in the Cebu Dome back in August. The next steps were how were we going to bring New Japan to the North American market? Well, it became real obvious that the Dome show, it's the biggest show. It's a show literally on par with the WrestleMania. And so when we finalized the pay-per-view contracts, he said, we said to ourselves, okay, who's going to be the English-speaking announcers that are going to present this product? And when you have Jim Ross, he's the voice of today's wrestling fan generation. When he is available, it truly was a no-brainer. So I've worked with his management people in the past. They're straight up, stand-up, fair, honest guys. We came to an agreement and got him on board. And I knew that it was going to take, you can say take this event to another level. But it has far, far exceeded my expectations. Just the media request alone over the last 3 weeks, it just gone through the roof. And Jim's doing mainstream media, Fox Sports and Grantland and other publications like that. And everybody wants to talk to Jim about this event because, like I said, he's the voice of today's generation. And when you talk about a talent in this business, Hulk Hogan, came on the scene in '83 and he had a 20-plus year career in a main event mega role. Well, Jim Ross is exactly the same. I mean, he is the best of the best of the best. I mean, dating back to the WCW TBS Clash of Champions and roll through all the WrestleManias that Jim's been a part of. And when he says things like this may be the very best main event that he's ever called, that's strong words. That's really strong words, and it resonates with me, who I'm still an enormous wrestling fan. But when Jim Ross says things like that, it makes everybody just stop, really think about it, let that sink in, and then you start to really think and see how things are adding up. It's become a can't miss event.
Mike, Yuri?
Ring of Honor is going to have a big presence on the Wrestle Kingdom 9 card, and there's been a great deal of speculation regarding GFW and ROH potentially having some type of working relationship moving forward. So, firstly, has any progress been made on that front? And also, how vital do you believe an ROH involvement with GFW could be to GFW's success?
Well, the overriding philosophy around the world with Global Force Wrestling is to not only recognize other promotions, but help promote them as well. And just, ROH's pay-per-view a couple of weeks ago on that Sunday, we used our digital space and our social media presence to help promote those guys. Ring of Honor and Global Force has agreed to obviously really focus. The matter at hand is January 4th, and Red Dragon, phenomenal talent. Those guys are awesome. They're going to be a part of potentially the show stealer. Their match is 2015 Wrestling and Beyond. Time Splitters with Kushida and Shelley and the Young Bucks, who I believe is the best tag team in wrestling today. Red Dragon and the Forever Hooligans. That's going to be a Four Corners tag match. There's no doubt it's a potential match of the year, or however you want to classify it. It's going to be an awesome match. So, Ring of Honor and Global Force, we are taking it step by step, having patience, and we are focused on January 4th at this time.
PG?
Jeff, some of the best wrestlers in the world are currently working on the independent circuit, and they're making major waves throughout the industry. You just spoke very highly of the tag teams at Kingdom 9, including Young Bucks and Red Dragon. As you scout talent for GFW, are there any specific wrestlers besides them that have recently caught your attention as both a promoter and fan of the sport?
Well, those type specific talent, I hold close to the vest. Doesn't do me any good to tout a talent right now, but I will in due time. But I will say, and I've said it going back, since the beginning of 2014, January, February, I felt that the business was right on the cusp of a real boom period. And with Lucha Underground on El Rey and New Japan coming to Axis, and congrats to TNA, those guys got to deal with Destination America and Ring of Honor syndication, and we're going to have our rollout in 2015. I'm very excited because, back to your point, I believe that they used to be called the indie guys. Now, I think that's almost a negative connotation. I call it the free agent market. And I think the free agent market is as healthy as it's ever been, with established guys that have, had their runs on TV and no stranger and have an international presence. But I think much more important, it's I call them the undiscovered talent. It's through the roof. It's really, really a deep talent pool.
Well, you mentioned a rollout for Global Force Wrestling in 2015. There's been plenty of talk about you starting another promotion as you did with TNA. Wrestling fans have yet to see an original in-ring product yet. Do you plan on making this a weekly television show? And is there any timetable for a possible television or pay-per-view debut?
2015, the rollout will continue. I can tell you that one weekly show will not get it done in this day and age. The brand awareness, in my opinion, you have to have a constant touch point with your fan base, if not on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. And so, with the rollout that we're doing with the Wrestle Kingdom 9, with the videos and as the days leading up to January 4th, we're going to get much more match specific, talking about the exact matchups. But we really focused over the last 8 weeks of presenting this product in a new manner. So to answer your question, I believe it's going to be much more than a weekly show. I just think the digital age has consumed the entertainment. Everything's going online, the WWE Network, New Japan Pro World, and just everything else. And not just in the wrestling business, Major League Baseball, they have such a strong online presence and other forms of entertainment.
Mike Jarrett?
With the exception of WCW, no wrestling company's really given WWE a true run for its money since the territory system broke down. And with GFW's partnership announcements, I think a lot of people are kind of comparing it to the territories. Do you view it in a similar light? And also, do you believe that you have the type of business model necessary with GFW to provide some legitimate competition to a WWE?
Well, the territory model, that those days are gone. It's just because of technology. But the partnership and the respect and we'll help you guys promote on this event and you help us promote on that event. I believe that rising tide brings all ships up. I believe that's a philosophy that will prove to be successful. But when you talk about competition, I believe that's such a closed-minded mentality and always has been, because it's in my opinion, you can equate it to other forms of entertainment. There's no reason that it's not necessarily you're competing against WWE. It's you need to worry, and that's what we're going to do at Global Force. We need to worry about our success and our bottom line. In the music business, Taylor Swift can sell out a building, can sell out Madison Square Garden, 7 nights in a row, and 3 weeks later, Garth Brooks come in. And so are they competing against another winner? Maybe the press will say this guy sold more tickets or this guy sold more downloads. But no, there's different forms of music. There's different forms of entertainment. Movies that come out every week, and they may be in competition, but it's still the movie business. That's how I see the wrestling business. WWE, it goes without saying. They've got probably 80, 85, 90, 95%, whatever number you want to put it on the U.S. market share in the wrestling space. I want to do everything in my power to make Global Force break and get some market share, and that's the real focus.
BG?
Jeff, when you appeared on Jim Ross's podcast recently, you two opened by discussing WWE and its recent TLC event. Your perspective of watching a wrestling event must be far different from that of ours and most fans. Could you explain to us as a promoter and owner what it is that you look for when you watch another company's event?
Well, I believe you're probably missing the most important factor when you say that I look at it differently than you look at it differently. That's where I think you can, and I understand where you're coming from, but I need to do everything in my power. And yes, it is hard because you're in the business and you're looking at bottom lines and you're having to make business decisions that what's best for Global Force or what's best for your promotion. But if I don't do my very, very best to look at it through a fan's eyes, I'm missing the point. I've got to say, okay, are they really enjoying it? Why are they enjoying it? Let me listen to the reactions. And you learn with the trained ear over the years how they're responding, just what is that response. And then, when I watched it, Dolph Ziggler tore the house down. How can a wrestling fan walk away from that ladder match and not like it? It was off the charts. And there was, with every show there's ups and downs. But no, I really think, yes, I have to look at it through a businessman's eyes. But much more importantly, I've got to look at it through a fan's eyes and say, did I enjoy that? Will I continue to spend my money on it? Will I continue to go to the website and go back digitally? Will I continue to support the promotion? That's the most important thing. And me being in this business, my family being in this business since back to the 1940s, we realize that, the wrestling fan, so to speak, has put groceries on our table for over 70 years. And that's very, very important.
Listen, one of the biggest pieces of news in the past year was you joining New Japan's Pro Wrestling's Bullet Club stable when you guys announced everything. As a member of heel stables in the past, what do you think makes the Bullet Club so successful, and how do you think your inclusion has impacted the group?
It's real. It's when you hear Carl Anderson sit down and talk about it, it's like, I get it, because the original Bullet Club, I guess what you could say the building blocks of it were four guys that came up through the dojo, and that's not an easy way to break into this business, but they all, organically rose up. And then when they came together, and Prince Devitt and Carl, and they were real brothers, and the people knew it, and they've got a fan there, and this is what they approached me with. And they said, Jeff, I think it fits right up your alley. We do what we want, when we want, where we want. And when, Devitt left and AJ Styles stepped in, I don't think the timing could have been better. No disrespect to Devitt, and he's going to be a household name in the years to come. But AJ had come off a pretty strong run with a worldwide company, and then he fit right into their slot, became the champion, and the Bullet Club went to another level. And then I was honored with those guys, and they found out that Global Force and New Japan were cementing their relationship and going to have a working agreement. They approached me and said, hey, we would like you to be a part of it. And how do you turn that down? They're the hottest faction. When I'm talking to Sydney, Australia, and Dublin, Ireland, and certainly the guys in London, I mean, go to independent shows over there, there's Bullet Club shirts everywhere. That speaks volumes.
Jarrett?
The vast majority of wrestling fans would probably agree that TNA was at its best when you were at the helm. And now with TNA transitioning to Destination America, and essentially rebooting its product, what are some of the main things you believe TNA needs to do in order to reestablish the success it had previously?
I'm no comment on that. I wish those guys nothing but the best, but I want them to figure it out on their own, and they will. They got a good group assembled over there, and I wish them nothing but the best. They got some good wrestlers and good talent over there, and I'm happy because them getting a deal with Destination America, there was some months there that nobody knew what really was going on. It's healthy for the industry for them to stay afloat.
BG?
Jeff, you've worn many hats throughout your career, and as a performer, you did the same as you constantly reinvented your character. A lot of wrestlers today often appear hesitant to reinvent themselves. How important is it for a wrestler to keep reinventing themselves, and have wrestlers ever reached out to you for advice?
Yes, certainly, guys. Reach out hourly, daily. No, but I love. This is my passion. Wrestling is, I love God first, my wife second, my kids third, wrestling fourth. But I mean, it truly is. It's my passion, and so I love giving advice. It's not always good all the time, but I try. But as far as reinventing yourself and characters and all that, I guess that comes from me being around the business so long. You get sort of wrapped up in your own character, and you always sort of, again, go back to what we talked about a few minutes ago, is you got to look through the fans' eyes, and the fans love something new and love something fresh. And although you may be in love with a specific part of your DNA and your makeup and your character, that doesn't mean the fans always will. And the audience will tell you certain things they like and don't like, and you got to listen and you got to be able to learn. And it's not major overhauls of characters; it's tweaks. And I think that's what makes a really, really successful a character and a run. And I think guys like Undertaker over the years have been masters at it. It goes without saying, Hulk Hogan went from the red and yellow to the black and white, and that took him another enormous 10-year run. And so, you got to know how to tweak things.
Listen, let's talk about you as a wrestler. You achieved serious success at WCW, WWE, TNA, AAA, and other companies around the world. Looking back through the years, what would you consider your proudest achievement in the ring, and why?
That's tough. It's tough to say any one thing because, like we said, you evolve. And in my early days, I was very proud of a match that I had with Nick Bockwinkel. I mean, that's first or second year in the business. And then I had a couple of matches with Kurt Hennig that, 40, 45 minutes, and I was proud of those. And then you move into, the first time I won the Intercontinental title against Razor, Scott Hall. That was a proud moment. The first time you win the world title, of course, that has to rank right up there at the very, very top, because that's what you do as a wrestler, get in this business, want to become world champ. Me winning the AAA heavyweight title and being the longest reigning non-Mexican wrestler to hold that title, that was, in my opinion, a heck of accomplishment for me, especially at the stage of my career. The series of matches that I had a couple of years ago against Kurt Angle were some of the most brutal, intense matches I've ever been in, and I really enjoyed that. Go back 15 years ago, a series of matches with Shawn Michaels. So it's hard to say one. It's fun to reminisce, but I like to look toward the future.
Mike Chiari?
Oh, one of the more controversial moments in your career was the WCW Bash at the Beach 2000 incident that saw you lay down and lose the world title to Hulk Hogan. And looking back at that situation now, how do you feel about the decision to kind of air backstage dirty laundry in front of the fans? And also, do you have any regrets about how that entire situation played out?
I worked for a company, and that company was in shambles, and it was a true microcosm of how that company was being run at the time. And there's not any one person to blame. It was the corporate environment, the culture. You talk about football teams, and my beloved Tennessee Titans have had a terrible year. You can't really put that on any one individual. There's new ownership, there's new general managers, player personnel, new coaches, new assistant coaches, new players. So who do you really blame on things? I don't think you can. I think it's an environment. I think it's a culture. And I think on the flip side of that, you got to create a culture. Obviously, the Green Bay Bears, they've been winners for years. Their culture is a winning culture. You can look at the New England Patriots, a winning culture. There's baseball teams that have winning cultures. There's production companies and movie houses that do things right consistently. And so, that's where that 2001 Bash at the Beach, the culture was toxic.
BG, final question?
Yeah, Jeff, one of my all-time favorite feuds of yours was against Raven in TNA. I still remember when he made his debut after you won the championship and just how important that felt at the time. I know you said you don't like to reminisce much, but are there any rivalries of yours that stand out above the rest, or perhaps one opponent during your career that you enjoyed working with more than anyone else?
Well, I've touched on a few of them. I love my series of matches against Shawn Michaels. I really enjoyed my series of matches against Kurt Angle. Early in my career, me and Jerry Lawler, who was, one of my childhood heroes and idols, and we had a series of matches against the Moondogs that were, it was the hardest of the hardcore, and it was a completely different style that I'd gotten into. I really enjoyed that. I mean, me and Lawler in hardcore matches, but it was a really, really intense feud. The night, I know specifically, if you want me to comment on that night, Raven appeared in the building that night. You could feel the electricity. It was really, 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 really magic. And when me and Raven built on that title match, I mean, we turned away. This is a legit story. We turned away more people. Well, people were outside the building than were inside. It was a good vibe that night.
Oh, listen, fans, don't forget to watch Global Force Wrestling's presentation of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 9 live on pay-per-view in North America January 4th. A huge thanks to our guest, Jeff Jarrett, for coming on the show. Let the fans know where they can show their support for you and Global Force Wrestling, sir.
I appreciate it. I really do. You go to globalforcewrestling.com. That's globalforcewrestling.com. It's got everything you want to know. You can go to our YouTube. You can find our Twitter, our Facebook. It's got everything at the website. My Twitter, we're going to get a plug in here. My Twitter is @RealJeffJarrett. Hit me up. Let me know your comments on Wrestle Kingdom 9, and we are looking forward. It truly is the can't miss wrestling event of the year.
Oh, another huge thanks to Jeff Jarrett. We appreciate your time, and good luck moving forward.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it today, and nice round table.